Welcome to Heritage Connections, a heritage headquarters, where we believe every conversation can turn into real opportunities. I am Caroline Torres, and today's guest has spent a decade connecting people across Arizona, from government to nonprofit to businesses and individuals that not only has made a difference in our state. His story reminds us in the power of relationships, not only when it comes to building a business, but growing as an individual. Today, we are joined by Emilio Gaynor, a leader whose career has been dedicated to building bridges between Arizona and Mexico, between nonprofits and businesses, between education and the workforce development, and between people who may have never met without someone making that introduction. Bienvenido, Emilio, to Heritage Connections.
Thank you, Carolina. It's a pleasure to be here on your podcast.
Well, thank you for saying yes. And because we believe in the power of connections, I was so thrilled when you said, hey, yes, let's come onto your show and talk a little bit about that. So now I know that you have spent a career connecting people from completely different worlds. What is one connection you have witnessed that made you think, this is why I do what I do?
Well, to be truthful with you, it happens every time a successful connection happens. It's not just one connection, it's doing it over and over again in your career. I mean, I can talk about one that happened recently where we connected a leader from Dominican Republic, in fact, with a council at the Arizona Diamondbacks. And that leader connected us to another leader in the Hispanic and Latino community and connected that whole community to the Arizona Diamondbacks. And we've been able to do some really exciting cultural and education things with that group. And that person is you. So making those connections is very satisfying, but it happens all the time. You just had to open yourself up to doing that.
You said something that to me I could relate to because it gets addicting when you start seeing how connecting the dots help move a community or organization move forward with initiatives. Now, I know that because of that, now I see you at every board, at least important board in Arizona. What do you think is so hard to say no? Because again, I that's why I mentioned the whole addicting part of seeing the results and seeing what's happening when leaders go ahead and start building and closing that gap in.
I think something that's important to say is that it's not just about connecting other people. It's about connecting yourself to the community and to people that you think you have alignment with and you have affinity with, because that creates success, whether it's success in business, success in a relationship, or you're volunteering and doing something for the community. If you connect with somebody you have affinity with, then you have success. And the success you bring or you create together creates success for the community. So it's not just about connecting other people. And, related to the question that you had on boards, or the comment that you said that I'm on every board.
Well,
I'm not on every board. It seems like it, but I'm on several boards and committees that I believe in. I'm very specific and picky as to which boards and commissions and committees I participate in, because as I select those strategically, I know that I can contribute to them. But I also know, talking about connections, that by being part of those committees, you make connections and you improve your opportunity for a more fruitful and engaging career, because you meet new people and you make many, many more connections through being part of these boards and commissions.
So now, what would you describe to be like a successful way of networking? Because I know everybody has this one see it differently, and some people get it totally wrong.
Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong way to do networking. There's probably a right way for you, right? For the person that's attempting to network and connect with other people. I think the right way to network is you kind of make up your mind as to what you want to accomplish when you go to an event where there's a networking opportunity, where there's a connection opportunity, and you want to make sure that you walk away from that opportunity with at least one connection or one relationship or one possible future relationship that you can work on. I think in order to be a successful networker, though, you also have to bring something to the table. No puede ser nada más para ti. You have to think of ways that you can also bring value to the relationship. So if you show up at an event and you're building a relationship with somebody and they notice, because we all notice, that you're just trying to extract information and use the contact, then they're going to notice that. But if you're also bringing value and you're showing that you want to be a part of their success too, that's how you create affinity and real networking success.
I love it. I love it. So basically, it's a two-way street, people. It's a two-way street.
Yeah, that's a two-way street.
You always have to make sure that, I love the fact that you mentioned go in with a plan on what is your goal for that event. And I love that, because in my world, that's how I see it. If you cannot bring value to that relationship, then it's not a win. It's not a win-win for both.
And it's even, so I want to expand on that a little bit because I think it's important to mention. When you go as a guest, you should go with a mission anyway. If you go with your spouse or your significant other to an event, you should also go with a mission because you're going to spend time at a work event or at something where you're trying to build relationships or you're going for work or your business. You may as well take something away from that activity, right? And if you do it in a way that you're offering value back, then you create a successful relationship and potentially a relationship for life.
Wow, amazing. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Now, was there a moment early in your career when you realized that relationships could be more powerful than titles?
Yeah, over my career, there's been several times where you have that aha moment. Dios mío, hice una conexión y me va a ir muy bien, etc. Right? But there's been a couple of things that have happened in my life where I observed somebody extend their hand out, get up from an event, from a very serious event, get up from the event and walk over to the main speaker and shake their hand and make that connection with that speaker and have that atrevimiento, have that courage to get up and do that. And that connection is something that wouldn't happen otherwise. And potentially you may never have that opportunity to shake that hand again, right? You do it with elected officials. You do it with, owners of companies that come and speak at your events. When you have the courage to do that, it can bring tremendous success and satisfaction. So that is when I saw somebody do that, that's when I said, I want to do that too. Because if he can get up and shake the hand of the president, then so can I. And that was a life-changing moment for me.
I love that you share that because I know a lot of times people, just they always try to say, well, I knew that this is what I needed to do.
Yeah.
But in order for other ones to grow, sometimes sharing those moments, those pivoting moments that made a difference and mark a different path in your business or career, it's important. I believe in that. Like, I don't even ask for titles. I want to know and build a meaningful connection with individuals when I meet them and see if our energy align. That way we could also make powerful things take place.
That's an important point. Do you just want to go and shake hands with the important people? No. your networking should be with everyone, because you never know where the person that's sitting next to you can be in the future. But there also has to be affinity. You have to like the person. The character has to be one that you get along with. Otherwise, the relationship won't go anywhere.
So now, for someone who's looking to build and grow as an individual and grow in business, what would be one piece of advice that you could give them that if they're thinking about starting a journey on networking and building relationships?
Well, I think to be a successful business person, you can't give up and you can't get discouraged. So there is not one single thing that I can say. There are so many things that you should pay attention to. And one of the things I did not do early in my career is continue to push and not give up. You would give up. And when you give up, then, I mean, it's really on you. So I think the biggest thing is, and you have to encourage yourself. You can't wait for somebody to encourage you. You have to have the drive and kind of force yourself to move forward and not give up. So I think that's one of the biggest things. And success, as I read about success and I meet successful people, there's always a story about, I didn't give up. And when I didn't give up, this happened. Or I thought it was all lost and I tried one more time. And then they talk about their success and now they're very successful. It's those moments, those pivotal moments where you either make a choice to quit or you make a choice to move forward. Yeah.
I love it, because as you're talking about specifically about, like going in, it's like I'm thinking about getting out of your comfort zone, putting yourself out there, and understand that you're gonna get 1,000 no's before you get one yes. So that's what was going through my mind right now as you were saying and sharing your expertise when it comes to building relationships and growing through networking.
I'll share one more thing with you. When I was very young, I decided to get out of my comfort zone and go sell encyclopedias door to door.
Wow.
And I knew that I probably would be terrible at it, but I didn't care, because in fact, that actually helped my attitude, because then I said, I don't have anything to lose. So, sin nada que perder, me voy a aventar. And I went out and joined a company that sold educational materials for kids in homes and encyclopedias. And I had to set my own appointments on the phone. Everybody would hang up on you, and then 1 out of 100 would say yes. And then you'd have to go sell to that family in their house, and 5 or 6 would say no, and 1 would say yes. But what did that do for me? That taught me that it taught me how to overcome objections, but it also taught me that there's a yes in there somewhere, and you shouldn't give up until you get that yes. Even if it's 10 no's, and if maybe 100, hung up phone calls, you're going to get to the point where you get a yes. And for me at that time, a yes meant a pretty big commission on one deal, and that made it worthwhile at the end of the day. But the biggest reason I did it is to go through the process and learn how to deal with, rejection and how to overcome objections.
I love it. I love it, because I think that's the biggest fear and hesitation when it comes to people going out there and building those relationships and shaking those hands of those individuals that get the spotlight, right? Like you get all nervous and you're like, they're going to reject me. They're not going to like me. Thank you. Because, sharing that story would remind some of you guys out there that not every single time you're going to get the results that you want, but you got to keep going. Because in building relationships, it's about building resilience, right?
Oh, big time. Eh? No les vas a caer bien a todos,
Yes.
pero les vas a caer bien a la mayoría de la gente. Y si no te acercas, if you don't reach out to people, you'll never know those people that match your character, that have energy and have an affinity with you, that can change your life, change your career, build long-lasting friendships, and help you and with your family and in your future.
So you're a very popular guy. So now I want to know, in your eyes, what makes someone unforgettable, especially when you're meeting them for the first time?
I think the biggest thing is if you offer something, you deliver it. That's the biggest thing. When you offer to help, and when you step up and make a commitment, you go through with your commitment. And I learned the hard way because I'm not perfect, and early in my career sometimes I wouldn't come through with the commitments I would make. And what did that teach me? That taught me that the people that you made a commitment to are not going to want to be around you anymore. They're going to separate from you because they also don't want to be with people that don't come through with their commitments and their promises. So going through it all and making sure that you complete a process and you deliver on what you've committed to is why people gravitate to me, because they know that I'm not going to let them down. The other thing that's very important is if you make a commitment and you know you cannot comply with that commitment, then don't be afraid to share, to let the people know, to say, look, I've done everything possible. I don't think I'm going to be able to come through with this. But I wanted to share that with you. I wanted to tell you, because if you just don't tell them and you disappear and you don't do what you said you were going to do, then it leaves mal sabor en la boca.
Yes.
It leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. And the next time they see you, again, I've lived it. It's not like I'm telling somebody to do something I haven't lived. I've lived that. I've experienced that, where when somebody's looking at you and saying, yeah, I remember you said you were going to do it and you didn't. So, and it's just important that you learn to come through with your commitments.
That kind of answered one of the questions that I have for you, because I was going to ask you, what are some of the things that you see mistakes that people do when they build in relationships, when they build in connections through whether it's networking or even social gatherings with friends and family?
Yeah. So the other thing that you have to be very cognizant of is that if you're always asking and not giving, the relationship will end, period. Because you have to give to get. And same with your relationships. They have to give to get. When that's gone, the relationship is gone. So that's something that you have to focus on. You have to focus on being a good friend, being a good relationship, being a good partner. The partnership of being working towards something together is so important. And as you build these relationships, you have to build them in a way that are mutually beneficial. If it's not a mutually beneficial relationship, then it will end. It won't go any further. There are people out there that give because they love to give and they don't have anything. They have so much, whether it's wealth or love, right? They have it and they don't care. They'll continue to give it to you. But you should realize at a certain point that you're taking advantage of that relationship. And it never ends well. It could go well for a while, but at the end of the day, it won't go well. Not necessarily because the person that's giving will stop giving, but because other people will notice and then they'll gravitate away from you. So let's talk about positive things. Have people gravitate towards you, hacia ti, by doing good things, by coming through with your commitments and being the right kind of partner.
I love it. I as you sharing all of this with us, like in my head, I'm like looking for places and times that maybe I didn't fulfill those commitments. And it's like, maybe that has something to do with maybe why that relationship didn't move forward, didn't grow. But also it brought something to mind, how culturally, even within different, like when we're dealing with, let's say, Anglo, when we're dealing with Latinos, when we're dealing with African American, how even, just to give you an example, being 5 minutes or 2 minutes late to an appointment could make a difference. What do you think is a way that us could how can we overcome some of those cultural differences when we're building relationships
As Latinos?
as Latinos, as like black or white, because you see, there's like a misunderstanding sometimes in between because of the cultural differences. Like for a Latino, being 5 minutes late, they're like, "Oh no, I'm fine." But I know for Güeros, like you show up 5 minutes early, you're on time, basically. Like that's
Yeah, I think you learn by going through the process. You can't really learn. I mean, you can read a lot, but it's the experience that's going to teach you. And to be honest with you, the experience could be an experience that hurts you for a short period of time, but helps you in the long term. In the long term, right? So, for example, the first thing you do when you go into a meeting and you're in a place that you're not comfortable with is out of your comfort zone. The first thing you have to do, the most important thing you have to do, is read the room. Pay attention to what other people are doing around you. And when you see the reaction from the people that are reacting to whatever is happening, then you mimic that, you copy that, because you know that's an acceptable behavior. Being late to an appointment, to an interview, it doesn't matter if you're Latino, it doesn't matter. If you're late to an appointment, they're probably not going to hire you because you have to be on time for appointments. But para el cafecito, or you're for the meeting, the lunch, those are cultural things that that we all have to learn and get used to. But the best way to learn, sadly, is going through it and screwing up, being late once and not being late ever again. The other thing too is it's not just us that has to adjust. It's also the other community that is meeting with us. Like, for example, if somebody shows up let's talk about on time. Somebody shows up on time that's normally getting to their meetings on time, and you're in your office making your coffee and they're sitting waiting for you in the lobby, and it's 7 minutes past the hour that you told them that, and then you go and greet them and you bring them, that they have to get accustomed to, because you're in control of the situation. But I think the biggest thing is reading the atmosphere, the things around you, and then making sure that you're matching those behaviors and what those expectations are. When people move here from Mexico and they come here, maybe they didn't go to high school, they don't have a good education. It's ironic how quickly they adjust to this culture, because you can't survive if you don't adjust.
You don't
right?
adjust.
If you go to work in construction and you're late for work, they leave you, and you miss out on $20 or $30 an hour, right? And they could fire you unless they really need you badly, but they're not going to wait for you, right? So there's some harsh ways that you learn these cultural differences, and there are other ways that you can learn them in a way that is not so harsh. But the biggest advice I have for people that are trying to step out of their comfort zones is read the ambience, read the room. When you go into a meeting or an event, look around and see what people are doing, how people are acting. As long as it's morally and correct and not illegal, you look around you, and that's how you start to model your behavior so that you're successful in that space. I'm fortunate that I can move como pez en el agua in any culture. I can step into any culture, pay attention to what's going on, and I feel like I'm accepted in that culture, whether it's Irish, English, Swedish, Dominican. I traveled throughout Central America to South America, and I was able to adjust very quickly to those cultures so that they felt like I was trying and I was being accepted by them. If you're from Detroit, or if you're from New York, or if you're from Seattle, there's different cultures and ways to behave in these places, and you just have to pay attention to those ways so that you're successful by learning that behavior.
So now, real talk, real talk. I have a question. Do you believe that technology has made us more connected or less connected?
Then AI or knowledge?
No, technology. Like, you
Technology.
know how we now have like social media and then all these different platforms that we could connect and communicate with people.
Well, I think so. I'm not an expert on social media, but I'm expert on watching my son and young people get lost, even me, get lost on their phones or their iPads, right? I think it's created a new way to connect that's not so personal. And I think it's dangerous. So we're humans, we're not machines. And electronics are created to serve humans. They're not created to serve other electronics or dogs, or they're created to serve us, right? So I think it's important that we remember that, and we don't become dependent on those electronics. The electronics are dependent on us because if we don't use them, they we don't buy them, they disappear, right?
Of course.
But I think it's dangerous. And the other thing too is I think we do far too little to keep our kids away from electronics, and we should help them engage with other people, even if it's uncomfortable for them, because for their future, it's important that they do that. So
Yeah, I asked that question because now everybody expects everything to happen fast. And sometimes we attend networking events, and before you know it, you have a list of people requesting you on different platforms, sending you messages. And the expectation is like everybody wants you to respond fast or reply some way, somehow, when, at least in my world, things move slightly slower when it comes to building a relationship. Like,
yeah,
I believe more like, hey, let's go ahead, let's have a coffee, let's have a coffee cup, or let's go have lunch. At least that's the way for me.
yeah.
When
I
it
think
comes to technology, social media, and different
I
things.
think you also have to be careful with that, because I'll throw some examples out. If you meet somebody and you feel like you're really connected with them and they want to go have coffee to talk about something that we're interested in, that you should definitely follow up. Okay. If somebody that you connected with for 2 seconds exchanged a card, there's no real interest or any kind of a conversation, and they want to connect with you and they insist, you should be careful, because it's probably somebody that saw something in you and they want to get that from you. So you have to tread carefully. It still could be a good thing, but you have to be careful. And also in today's world, you can get lost in responding to those connections. And if you respond to 100 connections, then you won't have any connections. Because if you're trying to manage 100 people, instead of gravitating to the people that you really feel you connected with, then you lost those contacts. Instead, you're wasting your time trying to connect with, increase the number of people that follow you, or increase your connections number on LinkedIn, or whatever it may be. So pay attention to the people that can make.
Sorry.
It's okay. Pay attention to the people that make a difference in your life.
Awesome. So now we're gonna move into one of my fun components of this interview, which is rapid fire. I'm gonna ask you real quick some questions, and you're just gonna say one or the other one.
Okay.
Okay, Emilio. So let's see how well the ultimate connectors handle rapid fire. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Arizona sunrise or Sonora sunset?
Sonora sunset.
First person you call with good news?
My wife.
One book everyone should read?
7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Nice. One city that has left a lasting impression on you?
Oh, my home city, Mexico City.
Nice. Best advice you have ever received?
If you go to work somewhere, you should only do it to learn how to do business with that business.
Wow, good. You received an honorary doctorate from UNAM. In one word, what did that recognition mean to you personally?
Humbleness.
Okay. One organization that has taught you the most.
So far, Arizona State University.
One word that defines great leadership.
Doing things for other people.
One word you hope people use to describe you.
Nice.
I describe you as a connector, but yes, you are so nice. I think you're one of my favorite people.
Trying to
that
be
I
nice.
know. Yes, yes.
Nice, get
yes,
you connections. Just ask Enrique.
Yes. Emilio, you have been an amazing guest.
Thank
I
you.
want you to share with our audience one thing that you want them to remember you by today.
So when people help you, you need to figure out how you can give that back to the community. So don't ever just take, always focus on giving back. And that's what makes you a great person.
Thank you so much, Emilio, for your time.
Thank you. You're a great interviewer. You did great.
Thank you. I'm always trying to get out of my comfort zone, and definitely,
You did a good job
you know,
today.
when I get in front of people like you, it makes me a little nervous, but it's another opportunity to grow and connect, because I believe here at Heritage Headquarters, the power of building relationships is what's going to make us stronger as a community. And have the opportunity to talk to leaders like yourself, share their story, share their knowledge with everybody that is on the other side, is what's going to make us more powerful as a community as a whole. So thank you so much for your advice, for your words, and for the fun, rapid questions. Well, guys, if you're looking to connect and build really meaningful connections, stay tuned for the next episode. Follow us on social media. Share this and give it a like. I'll see you in our next episode of Heritage Connections.